I just thought he was behaving really weirdly, because he was kind of holding my hands, and I was like, this is not the place. You don't get romantic here. It's raining, I'm cold, and I'm in a crap mood. And then before I knew it, this ring was out, and he was talking about spending the rest of my life with him, and I told him to fuck off.
Hello, Merry Christmas. This is our festive edition of the podcast, and because it's such a popular time for wedding proposals, that's what we've dedicated our episode to today. So we're chatting all about getting down on one knee, popping the question, putting a ring on it, however you want to phrase it. We're sharing some tips as well as some really wonderful, heartwarming stories to inspire you and give you confidence if you're planning to pop the question. If you're waiting to be asked, then this is the episode that you need to play on repeat whilst your partner is asleep to make sure that they get the hint, and that come 2021 you are a bride or groom to be. It's been a difficult year for all of us, but let's look forward to 2021. And if you're planning your wedding, let's stay positive and hope that your magical day does happen. We're here to help at any time, so you can message us on Instagram. We have our own account at your_individual_wedding. We'd love you to follow us and join us and get involved with all the fun. Don't forget to share your big day balls ups where things go not quite to plan a wedding with hilarious consequences. And if you listen to this and want to share your proposal story, then also get in touch. We love hearing from you. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast. That really helps other wonderful couples to find us and share in all the fun. And we've got so much lined up for you in 2021. So stay tuned, stay safe, and we will see you in the new year. Morning, Heidi. How you doing? Did you like my attempt at uplifted and happy voice?
Yeah, I like that happy start. That's lovely, Ross. That's
good.
Yeah, as well as can be expected. We're recording this literally, I don't know, half a day after the new Tier 4 lockdown restriction, Christmas, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So much like the rest of the country, still reeling, I think.
Yeah, still getting your head around it, and it's been a funny. Well, it's been a funny year, hasn't it? And then it's funny few days, even more on top of everything else. So
you had to change plans, Ross.
Yeah, we had been voluntarily self-isolating for a week to 10 days because we were going to go and see my parents, and my sister and my niece are in a bubble. So we'd sort of been quite diligent trying to do that. And then obviously we found out that we can't see them anyway. So I mean, we're better off than a lot of people, but it's still a disappointment, and my niece is disappointed, and obviously my parents are disappointed. So it's just the suddenness of it. I think if we knew start of the month it wasn't going to happen, fine, you get your head around it and get on. But you're geared up, aren't you, to see people that you haven't seen for a long time, or to take appropriate action like we had done to be sensible. And put all those plans in place. And even that was a little bit stressful, just making sure you were sort of COVID free and illness free, and you were safe to sort of see your parents. But what about you?
Planning. Well, I mean, same as you, really. So my mum, who's in her 60s and lives on her own in Wales, so about a 5-hour drive away from where I am in Cheshire, was supposed to be coming for this period that we've been allocated, this 5-day period. We've been really careful. So my son is back from uni. He'd been tested before he came home. He was negative. We've really restricted our movements and where we've been going. My husband and I stopped going into our offices and studios respectively about 7 days ago. So lots and lots of precautions to make sure that she could come safely. And then she's run her cupboards down. She's got no Christmas food in. I think she's got some frozen spinach in the freezer. So yeah, it's not great. So we're sort of looking at, can she just come for the day?
So we're around it, yeah.
I think, like you, I think if we'd known on December the 2nd when they made the announcement about what was going to happen over Christmas, I think if they'd said, look, we can't promise that you can get together, so you need to start thinking now about what you would do if you had to stay at home.
Yeah,
I think people would have been a bit more cautious and had time.
It is the time aspect, yeah.
Make sure I've got food in, make sure I've got this, it's at the end of the day, it's one day, it's Christmas Day.
Yeah.
We can manage, we can do it. It's just that it's been sprung on us at the last bloody minute.
Yeah, totally.
Panic buying now and trying to get on trains to come to the north. Stay at home.
Well, this is what happens, isn't it, really? Because even when they did say it could go ahead, it was good news in a way. She said, okay, get to see my parents. Part of me was like, should we really be doing this? I'm not sure. And you kind of, without sounding horrible, trust yourself. But you think, what's everybody else going to do? How far is this going to set us back? So it was a funny one anyway.
So close to the end. I feel like we're it's.
I do feel we're close to the end. I think if knowing the vaccine's being rolled out helps. I think I've been in a much darker place if there was no hope of anything at all.
Yeah, and there's that old saying, it's always darkest before the dawn, and I do feel like we've got to that point literally in the year where it's pitch black nearly all day long.
I feel like that. It's the first year for a long time where it has felt literally dark. Yeah, all consuming. Yeah, just darkness. Yeah.
And Christmas is one of the. I'm not a winter person by any stretch of the imagination. I like the sun. I like to be outdoors. I like to be in my garden. I like a glass of wine outside at 10 o'clock at night. So I'm really not a winter person. I don't go in for all of this caving and put the fire on and shut the curtains. I hate it.
Oh, really?
This is one of those things that gets me through, because it gives you a focus for the whole of December, and then you come out the other side. January's a long month, but you've had all the celebrations, and you're normally sort of focusing on losing all the weight you've piled on, or
and you've got goals and plans, and yeah.
And for you and I, normally January,
it's a great month.
We've had all of those gorgeous Christmas and New Year proposals, and we've got that to look forward to. The spring and summer weddings are coming, and
yeah, absolutely.
That at the moment, because
I know
in a bloody spin about what's going to happen next. So come on the vaccine, we can get through this next week or so, and it's shit, but we've got to do it. We've got to do it. Yeah, knuckle down, look after all those key workers and NHS frontline staff, and think of them, and we'll have a better Christmas than they will, to be fair. So that's how we've got to do it. But yeah, you mentioned proposals, so that's what we're going to talk about today, because it still is proposal season. Nothing can change that. Nobody can tell you the last minute that you're not allowed to propose or get engaged. So that's the good news. You can still go ahead with any plans for that. So Heidi, I was wondering, you're a very happily married woman, aren't you? You say.
At the start of lockdown, she was a very happily married woman. How did that all come about, sort of from the proposal? Let's not have your life history, but
we won't have the life history. No, I mean, it was a big surprise. It was a shock. We've been together 8 years, and we were in the kind of relationship where we were married, but we just hadn't really got married.
Okay.
So we lived together, we shared everything. And
did you know that it was going to come, sort of a wedding?
I had no idea. He'd never shown any sort of, I don't even think we'd ever really spoken about marriage or weddings. We were just enjoying life together and being a couple, and everything was lovely. And it was a big shock, because after 8 years, you just think, oh, maybe we just won't bother. Maybe we just won't do it. We don't really, we're enjoying life together. And we'd gone on it was a weekend to Paris, and I'd been to Paris a few times on my own, and it's one of my favourite cities. I just
It's
love
beautiful, isn't it?
everything about it. Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. And one of my favourite places in Paris is the Sacré-Cœur.
Oh,
It's
wow.
the most beautiful building, and they light it up at night. And if you go up there, you have to climb a billion steps to get up there. But if you get up there at night, they very often have somebody playing music, and then you look out over Paris and you can see the Eiffel Tower, and it's beautiful. It's like a scene from a movie. I adore the Sacré-Cœur. And so, knowing this, apparently Tim had decided, he bought a ring, and he decided that this was going to be it. He was going to propose. He'd spoken to my dad very traditionally.
Oh, nice.
And asked my dad if my dad was happy, and my dad had given him his blessing. So good luck with her. Something along those lines. And so, yeah, I didn't know that Tim had this ring. Anyway, we went up to the Sacré-Cœur, and he realised he'd left the ring back in the hotel room.
Oh.
And so was faced with this decision. Does he propose to me without a ring, in which case I definitely won't take him seriously? And he kind of knew that I probably wouldn't take him seriously because he'd had a discussion with his dad about the ring, and his dad had said, you've got to have a ring. You can't just propose to her. You've got to have a ring, because otherwise she's just going to blow you out the water and laugh in your face. So he'd forgotten it. He'd left it back in the hotel room. So does he propose without the ring, or does he wait and pick another moment? So I'd also been banging on about, I wanted to go and see the famous paintings of the water lilies. And there's a gallery called L'Orangerie in Paris.
Oh, very good.
The water lilies are housed. And it's amazing. Have you been to see the water lilies? Have you been to Paris?
I've been to Paris a couple of times. I've not seen the water lilies.
Treat yourself. Monet's water lilies, and they are massive, and there's a whole room.
Really?
They're huge, absolutely huge, and every wall of this room is taken up with one of his paintings of the water lilies.
Wow.
And it goes through the seasons, but it's all encompassing. You go into this room and you're completely overwhelmed by it, and you can sit there for ages just absorbing it. I'm a big art lover, and it's quite special. So I've been banging on about going to see the water lilies. So he thought, doesn't matter, because tomorrow we're going to go and see the water lilies, and that's where I'll propose. We'll be sat there surrounded by these beautiful paintings, and that's when I'll do it. Anyway, we couldn't find this gallery for love nor money. I'd been by myself, and I couldn't find it. And it was pouring with rain, and it was cold, and we were dragging ourselves around the back streets of Paris trying to find this gallery. And I was getting more and more pissed off. He was getting more and more stressed out, thinking, oh shit, if we don't find this gallery, I'm literally going to have to propose on a wet, rainy street in Paris. So he was piling the pressure on me, saying, where is it? Come on, you must know, you might look it up. Anyway, we couldn't find it. I was in a pissy, shitty mood because we couldn't find it. We were underneath the Eiffel Tower. We sat down on a bench for a break, and he just decided he was going to do it. And I just thought he was behaving really weirdly, because he was kind of holding my hands, and I was like, this is not the place. You don't get romantic here. It's raining, I'm cold, and I'm in a crap mood. And then before I knew it, this ring was out, and he was talking about spending the rest of my life with him, and I told him to fuck off.
Heidi.
I just thought he was taking the piss out of me. I hadn't really looked at the ring. I'd just seen this box. He was being all weird. I was stressed and pissed off. He's banging on about spending the rest of your life with me. And I honestly thought it was a wind up. And I thought that he would fall about laughing when I said, oh, yes, I'd love to, darling. And so I told him to fuck off. And I saw his face fall. Oh no, this is real. And burst into tears. And then about 10 minutes later, he said to me, and your answer is?
Oh, the poor guy.
It was, yes.
He must, and yeah, happily ever after.
Yeah, we've been together for, 30 years. Yeah, 32
But that's a great story that, you can remember, and it kind of was perfect because it wasn't perfect. you know,
It's
it had,
memorable.
it's
Everybody's,
memorable.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And but to be fair, if that had happened to me, you get to a point where you think this is not meant to be. The universe is telling me this shouldn't happen. I forgot the ring, can't find the next venue. Yeah, fair play that he persevered and did it. And
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely,
Oh
absolutely.
wow, that's amazing.
But I
So
think,
we've asked a few of our lovely listeners for their engagement stories, and we've got a few tips to share. One of my tips actually contradicts with what you've, well, not really contradicts, because I've said that the gesture is more important than the ring. Now, Heidi's just said that she wouldn't have said yes without a ring. So it is about game. I think you need to know your other half quite well to know what you can get away with, I think. Because I think there will be some people who'd want to choose it themselves as well. So they might want the proposal and then go ring shopping afterwards.
I think it is definitely knowing your partner.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
is definitely a good tip for the perfect proposal, is know your partner. So, we were talking about some people who really like the spotlight. They like the grand gesture. They want to take the photos that they can share with friends and family on Instagram. You know, they want people to applaud when he or she says yes.
Yeah,
They like the big gesture. But you have to know your partner, and I think most people do. Most people know whether your partner is the sort of person that would much prefer an intimate proposal in the safety of your own home, or the big grand gesture in a public place, on
yeah.
holiday, in a restaurant. So it is, yeah, like you say, that the ring isn't as important as the gesture. It's just knowing whether or not your partner would expect that. Would they expect a ring?
Yeah. What would they want? Yeah, and how would they want to be proposed? Like you said, it's you can get inspired by films and TV, and it can seem really romantic, but you've got to look at personalities and what people would feel comfortable with. And if you're gonna, it's got to be memorable for both of you. I think if you go to so much stress and you get so anxious putting together this elaborate plan, that might take away from something that's simple and still as memorable. Like you say, that they're all going to be memorable, whatever happens, even if you're just at home. And one of my lovely brides to be, Vic or Victoria, she sent us hers. So I'm just going to read you her story, and it's quite personal because this episode is going out on Christmas Day. So Merry Christmas if you're listening on Christmas Day. If you're an ardent fan and you're listening on Christmas Day, fair play to you. So this is Vic's Christmas Day engagement story. So it was Christmas Day 2018. We had woken up at home, just the two of us plus the cat. For the first time since we got together, we decided to do presents for each other. So after our tradition of pate on toast for breakfast, very fancy, I like that, we popped open some fizz and sat on the sofa ready to open our presents to each other. Dec insisted that he opened his first and seemed happy with his watch storage box. With a lovely little emoji that kind of sums that one up, yeah.
What's the watch storage box? Just like, yeah, a box for your watch. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Or maybe he's got several watches and he puts, I don't know. Then I opened mine, a jigsaw with a picture of the place we first met on it, Waterloo Station. But the box was bulging. There was something else inside the box with the jigsaw pieces. I opened up the box to find the most gorgeous red ring box. And then it dawned on me when I snapped it open and the love of my life said, "Will you marry me? Best Christmas ever."
I'm going to cry. I'm genuinely welling up.
Isn't that beautiful? That's so lovely. So lovely. And I have chatted to them. They were quite keen to do their pre-wedding shoot at Waterloo Station as well. Because
that's so lovely. So
beautiful.
Yeah, it was a nice, simple, at-home proposal. But he put so much thought into that because, to actually get a jigsaw made.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a picture of where they met. He had a jigsaw made. That's just gorgeous. I wonder at what point she thought, why has he made a jigsaw? I don't know. I don't know when the penny would drop. But I mean, that goes to one of the tips that I was going to share, is that obviously proposals this year are going to be a little different.
Yeah.
Because of the pandemic and us having to stay at home. And I know a lot of my couples in the past have shared their proposal stories with me, and they have been proposals that happened when they were on holiday. They went skiing in the new year, and they were on the top of their favorite ski run, or in the restaurant in the evening. They're on holiday, or they're in a hotel room on New Year's Eve, or those things obviously aren't going to be happening this year. You're not going to be able to propose while you're on holiday, because we're being told we've got to stay at bloody home.
Stay at home.
But even so, even if you are planning your proposal at home, I think it is about thinking about the things that are important to you. And I think there's nothing more romantic than those little sort of tokens, like a picture of where we first met. If you were sat on the sofa in the evening with your partner, and you were going to watch a Christmas movie, and instead of a Christmas movie, a montage of images of the two of you together from when you first met, through those sort of important occasions.
Yeah, that would be magical.
And then a proposal at the end. It's really, really thoughtful, but it's something that you can achieve really easily at home.
Yeah.
And I think couples are going to have to be thinking like that this year. They are going to have to be thinking about, what's my partner's favourite scent? Shall I burn that in the room? Shall I put some candles on? Shall I cook their favourite meal? There's an awful lot of things that you can do at home that mean that it's not just a proposal over the kitchen sink or what have you.
Yeah, I have heard of those. It wouldn't suit me, to be honest, but I suppose if you're both that kind of type, like, oh, she'll get married, or might as well. There are some couples that works for, but again, it goes back to knowing your partner, doesn't it? If you're a bit like that, but your partner isn't, then I wouldn't do it over the washing up, really. So, but yeah, and I think this year we've been at home a lot, so you would have created a lot of at-home memories. I think a lot of people, our birthdays were quite simple, but we went for a drive, went for a walk, and actually it was a really nice day. Both our birthdays are quite close together, and we both said they were quite memorable because there were no distractions. Neither of us were at work, so we had full attention. So I think this year has been a lot about sort of making memories, and there will be a lot of people that are planning to propose because they've realised in lockdown that they're with the right person and they've fallen in love, and this is who they want to be with. I think it's a make or break year for a lot of couples.
Yeah, I mean, if you've managed to support one another through this year, and shared very sort of close quarters. I mean, most of us tend to see our partners before we go to work, after we go to work. We've got busy lives, and to suddenly be thrown into sort of such close proximity for such long periods. I know it's not the case for everybody, but a lot of people suddenly found that they were spending a lot more time with their other half. And yeah, I think if you've supported each other through this toughest of years,
yeah,
it's proved that you are a couple that are going to last the distance. So yeah, I think this year more than ever, you should know, and yeah, you should grab that person with both hands. Just saying, Ross.
Yeah. Well, I was going to do a tip that was like, I was going to do a really hypocritical tip saying, do not wait for your other half to propose. If you want to get married, don't rely on sort of gender stereotypes or anything. If you're the girl, or if you're two guys or two girls or whatever, don't wait. Whereas I'm doing exactly that. I'm not proposing.
Wow.
I think for me, I've always appeared a little bit more keen or excited about the idea of marriage than my partner. Maybe because I work in the industry and I see it all the time. Maybe because how do I say this politely? My partner's 11 years older than me, so he is a slightly different generation. So I think, I don't know whether he's still, same-sex marriage is still quite relatively new for everyone, but I suppose for me it came into force sort of when I was sort of late 20s, early 30s. For him, he was already in his 40s, and it was sort of quite a new thing. So I don't know whether it's just something to get his head around. I think he also maybe wouldn't have considered it whilst his parents were still alive, because I think they would have struggled. That would have been sort of maybe a stretch too. They were great, but they took a while to sort of come around to the idea, and I was really close to both of them by the end, but I think them turning up to their son marrying another man would have been quite hard for them to swallow. So I don't know whether that has sort of been a part of it. So I always feel that if he's sort of willing to ask me, then I know he's ready. Whereas I don't know whether if I asked him, he would say yes, not wanting to upset me, but maybe not 100% having his heart. I don't want to put anyone else off. That's just my knowing my dynamic. And I think I know once he asked me, he's made the decision, he's ready, he's going to do it. So I would rather stick to that. But if you're both happy and you pretty much know that's where you're going to go, you can plan the perfect proposal.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to say, that a proposal can be memorable and fun if you planned it. It's not just for the recipient. I think there's that mistake that, it's you always, traditionally or stereotypically, you see a straight couple and you always ask sort of the bride to be, how did he propose? Do you know what I mean? And that's quite of an old-fashioned kind of thing, making that assumption. Anyone can propose nowadays. You can be as creative or as non-creative as you like. So yeah, and it can be, you can enjoy planning your proposal. That's what we're trying to say. You don't have to get really stressed. You don't have to spend lots of money on the proposal at all. Keep it simple, but just think of a couple of things that would make it personal to your other half.
And I think, we keep referencing it, but it is knowing your partner. So if you are at all anxious, like you are, Ross, that your partner might not be as keen on the idea of that binding ceremony. Some people don't like to be in the spotlight. Some people don't like the idea of having to plan a wedding. I mean, I know I was definitely in that camp.
Yeah.
I loved the proposal, and I was very keen to say yes once I realised he wasn't taking the piss.
Just to get out of the rain, probably.
But then that whole sort of like, oh shit, we've got to plan a wedding. I don't know how to plan a wedding.
Yeah.
And that sort of and people contacting you within minutes of you telling them, or making the announcement and saying things like, have you been dress shopping yet? Have you picked your colours yet? And I'm thinking, I didn't know I needed colours. Yeah. So
have I got to redecorate as well? Yeah.
But it's knowing your partner, and perhaps before you go in for the big proposal, have some sort of conversations about other people's proposals and other people, just so you can start to gauge, if you are unsure, if you don't know whether or not your partner is at that stage of the relationship yet, there is no harm in sort of having conversations that aren't directly, if I asked you, would you say yes, or putting them on the spot. Just sort of having some general conversations about, oh, wasn't that a lovely proposal? And, I think I'd do it like that. Would you?
I've done that all year. That's with me. Every film, everything. I'm like, that's nice. Or like, well, when you do that for me, I don't want it on the top of a cliff and all this kind of thing. Yeah. But then, that's another point is, once you are proposed, you don't have to leap into wedding planning straight away. You can enjoy being engaged for several years. There are people that have been engaged for a long time. I know, when I do engagement shoots, they can be standalone celebrations. It doesn't have to, oh, we're booking a wedding, we're doing a pre-wedding shoot. You can have an engagement shoot at any time, to just celebrate that milestone. It's a nice period. You don't have to suddenly go on Pinterest and start looking at ideas and inspiration. And especially in this period now, weddings are still a little bit uncertain. And when they do get back, everyone's going to be really busy because we've got a whole year of backlog waiting. So you don't have to suddenly think, oh god, we've got to plan a wedding in the next 6 months. No, you don't at all. And again, weddings are different. We've done an episode on intimate weddings, so it doesn't have to be the big shebang at all. And I think that maybe is what puts some people off, is that thought of a big massive wedding with loads of guests and they're all eyes on you. If your partner doesn't isn't the type of person that wants you to get down on one knee in a busy restaurant because they'll be self-conscious, they're probably not the person that wants a big wedding to show off in front of people either. So it's sometimes it is caveating that, or just getting ideas for what they would want even a wedding to look like, because you can take a lot from that.
And interestingly, I mean, we've been sent a few different proposal stories from couples for this podcast, and interestingly, none of them are the sort of big, everybody watching, everybody cheering when he or she
At the
says
Ritz kind of thing, yeah.
they are all quite sort of intimate, sweet, thoughtful. We've got Emma. We had Emma Louise, who's had to postpone her wedding twice.
Yeah, we chatted to her last time.
Past. And we were talking to Emma and Jodie about having to postpone their weddings because of this year, and she's very kindly shared her proposal story with us. And again, it's a very intimate, sweet little proposal. So it was before lockdowns, and the two of them were at a very lovely hotel near where they live, and it's got a spa, and it was her 30th. And she says, we spent an amazing day in the spa and outside the pool in February. I might add that that one weekend a couple of years ago, it was hot in February. I was thinking that when I read it, I thought, you're outside in a pool. Apparently it was a hot February. We got back to our room.
Afterwards, I bet.
We got back to our room, and I love baths. The bathroom had 2 twin baths with a flat screen TV on. Started to strip whilst running the bath. Unbeknownst to me, my partner Nick had put out candles and he'd put on our favourite song.
Oh.
Down on one knee in the bedroom. He then asked me to come into the room. I walked in my bra and knickers to see him on me. So I said something along the lines of, "Oh my God, hang on a second." Yeah, I bet she did. I bet she swore at him as well. And then I chucked a dress on and went back to him so he could propose. Ha 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 ha. Actually was looking for.
No.
What I have never said to him though is why the bloody hell he did it in the room. They had gorgeous grounds and a Michelin-starred restaurant. Anyway, other than that, it was lovely.
Oh.
But so he chose to do it in their hotel room. She's saying, why didn't you do it in the Michelin-starred restaurant? Probably because he is one of those guys.
Yeah, low key.
Yeah,
and she couldn't go to the restaurant in a bra and knickers, and that might have been what he'd wanted to do. It was a perfect proposal of her in a.
I love it. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love that he thought, what would she like? Let's song. And so, you know, a nice, contained, intimate little proposal, but made special because he's taken the time to think about what his partner would like and not what he would like.
That's it, isn't it? That's the key. So yeah, if you'd have been the one proposing, what would you have done? Do you know?
If I'd been the one proposing, I've never really thought it through. If I'm really honest, but yeah, again, I mean, I would say that Tim and I are quite extrovert.
Really?
Yeah, we like to be. I just realised that's sarcasm. You're such a shit.
I wish you'd come out of your shell a bit more, Heidi.
But I still don't think, even though, you know, we like to be the life and soul of the party, and generally if we go out, we split up after about, not literally split up, but we don't sort of hang out at parties.
No, don't stick together. That's fair enough. That's quite good.
I tend to head for the dance floor, and he tends to sort of, I mean, he just wants to make people laugh, Tim. That's what he lives for. So it's quite good, but yeah, so he just likes to make people laugh. So, and then we meet up at the end of the night. But I still don't think, in spite of that, I still don't think that he would have enjoyed a very public proposal.
No.
I think, you know, he's very romantic, and he does like things like sharing photographs of us down the years, and so I think he probably would have enjoyed something like that, where it was sort of looking at the important moments to us, the songs. I mean, music, again, he's been in and out of bands all his life, and music has always been really important to the two of us. And there's a lot of songs that you sort of think, oh, you know, that was when we first met, that was when we went to Glastonbury together, that was when our son was born, that was we've got a lot of music in our back catalogue. So I think
that's nice.
A bit like Emma Louise, it would have been a song that meant a lot, and photos of the two of us.
Excellent. It's different for everyone, and there's no right or wrong, is there? We had Holly, isn't it? Holly shared hers, and they did everything in reverse, which is quite interesting. So I will read out what she put. starts off, so lots of O's. So we did everything in reverse and it was totally amazing. We'd seen a venue, viewed it, loved it, booked it.
Wow.
Then 5 to 6 weeks later, on a walk with our most handsome doggo, I assume that's a dog, not a euphemism, we had a picnic and on a wee secret bench in the forest, and on a wee secret bench in the forest. Oh yeah, I see. Okay, I'm going to read that again. I was getting confused. I thought it said we had a picnic and a wee on a secret bench in the forest. I was like, okay, I'm going to flip it. Okay, so they viewed the venue. Sorry, Holly, I'm ruining this for you. Then, 5 to 6 weeks later, on a walk with our most handsome doggo, we had a picnic and on a wee secret bench in the forest, and he asked, would I give him the honour of being his wife? So that's lovely. And she goes on to add, I know it was mental, but it was June during the COVID, even though we are still in it when we booked. But the proposal was perfect and I loved it. I wasn't expecting it. We were going to Scotland in September and I expected it to happen then. Ha ha. I think that's happened a lot. I think there's been a lot where they know their partner's expecting it, so they do a few sort of little false outings or not. Yeah.
People to do things differently. We know it has. That people have had to do things differently. They've had to scale back weddings. They've had to do proposals differently. If they've seen a venue they like, they've just thought, sod it, let's put the venue.
Yeah.
Had to do things differently this year. So although I was surprised when she sent that to us, I was looking at it thinking, well, that's I've never heard of that before, that you've booked a wedding venue. This is where we're going to get married. We've booked it, but we haven't proposed to one another. So obviously they knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And she had it in her head that it was going to be when they headed off to Scotland, and that should have been a clue. It was a wee bench. We on a bench, Ross. Come on.
No, sorry, that was me. I can't read to save my life. Yeah, no, that's a lovely one. They've all been quite small and intimate, and they've been really well received. So I think that's good. So however you're doing it, I think I looked at some on the internet and I thought, I can't read that because that'll just put people off proposing whatsoever. There was one guy that had, it was his friend apparently, it's always the friend, isn't it? A mate of mine was going out with this girl, took her to a restaurant, proposed, she swore at him, walked out the restaurant and never heard from her again.
Oh no!
I'm not saying that's going to happen to you lot. There must be more to it than that, but I was just like, oh, okay.
I can't believe that. I've heard of proposals where it's taken more than one go.
I think that was my parents as well, actually. Yeah.
I'm not quite ready for this yet. Can we just? And then I've heard of other proposals where basically one half of the partnership has said, look, you know, I really want to be married before I have kids, or, you know, there's sort of a reason why.
Or before I retire, yeah.
I'm not hanging around for the next 10 years waiting for you to propose to me. If you're serious about this.
Yeah.
So, but I've never, to say no and then never hear from that person again, that's bullshit.
Weird. Did you hear, I liked did you hear how Barack Obama proposed to Michelle?
No.
So they used to have a lot of debates because obviously they were both intelligent and they were both lawyers, weren't they? Were they lawyers or barristers or something like that? Yeah. And he was the intern at her office and she was like his mentor. So I was like, oh, he's nice. And she was like, no, that's too much of a cliche. Going out with my mentee and we're the only black couple, should know it's not happening. And then when they did get together, he was really anti-marriage. So they used to have all these debates about, you know, pro and anti-marriage. And then this is me paraphrasing, so I probably got it all wrong, but I know when they went out for a meal, and I think he just graduated or something, and they were getting on really well. And then he said, so tell me why you're into this marriage sort of business again. And she went off on one, saying, well, I really believe in it, blah, 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 blah. And then the waiter came and with the dessert or something, and it was a ring. And then he just goes, well, that ought to shut you up.
My God. But I love that they did it like proper legal people, like lawyers.
Yeah.
The case for and against.
Yeah.
The case for marriage.
Yes. I think they had that debate many a time, and it's like, okay, well, let's play you at your own game, and I'll get you to spay it off before I give you the ring. I love that story. I think that's brilliant.
That is fantastic. I love that. I do get a bit goosebumpy, no matter what the proposal is, even if it is a kitchen sink proposal. I think if it means a lot to the other person,
yeah,
hear how much it means to them, you do get a bit goosebumpy, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
A proposal story, they're always slightly different, and I always get a bit squidgy and a bit gooey and a bit teary-eyed. So
and that's what we're saying. It's the hey. Oh no, I can't wait to tell you.
I'll be in touch straight away saying, so what are your colours?
Oh God, yeah, that's the other. No, I'm going to heed my own advice and not leap into. I'm like, no, people will say to me, who's going to photograph your wedding? And I was like, wow, good luck to whoever does, because
No, I'm not sure about the light here. No.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be that person at all. I wouldn't. I actually already know. That's the sad thing. I've already chosen them, so it's
good. Do they know?
I have told them on Instagram, because I follow them on Instagram, and I was like, you are going to be my wedding photographer. I'm not engaged, but you are going to be my wedding photographer. So
it's going to make your wedding planning so much easier. You've already done it. Yeah.
I know everyone, don't I? Really, my best friend does cakes, and I know a photographer, and so it'll be quite good, really. But yeah, I just going back to my point that that gesture of "will you spend the rest of my life with me" it far outweighs size of the ring, or whether you're in the Eiffel Tower or in your living room. It's that gesture. That's what gives the goosebumps, isn't it? Really. And a tiny little thing from a jigsaw. To just a nice walk with the dog. It's all meaningful and it's all romantic, and there's so many ways you can do it and just keep it special and intimate. And it is about the two of you. That's the whole point of a proposal, isn't it? It's about that moment between just you two. And then yes,
I would love to hear proposal stories. I want people to send their proposal stories in to us, because like I say,
if we get loads, we can have another regular feature of how we pop the question. But it's time for our current regular feature now. So we're going to do our lovely little soon to be award-winning jingle. I'm not sure what award it will win, but we'll enter it for something. And then Heidi's got another wonderful balls up. She's full of the balls up, is Heidi. So here we go.
Heidi and Rossi's Big Day Balls Ups.
Right, come on then, Heidi. Tell us another wedding mishap that you've been. Was this a wedding you were at?
No. Nope. This is one that has been shared with me, possibly.
Okay.
Foolishly, I do a wedding podcast. What are you thinking? Sending me up? Of course, I'm going to read it out on air. So I have actually changed the name, but she'll probably be listening, and she will definitely know it's her. I'm going to try and get through this without breaking down into hysterical laughter, because knowing the person and having heard the occasion a few times now, it still makes me howl with laughter. So this is Kate's Big Day Balls Up, and I'm going to read out Kate's account of what happened on her wedding day. So Kate says, anyone who knows me knows that I have timing issues. I always think it's only going to take me an hour to get ready to go out, and it always ends up taking at least 2. Yes, I feel you, Kate. So one of my biggest fears on my wedding day was that I was going to be late to the church. And it's a fear that most people have.
Yes.
People have nightmares, don't they, about turning up late to the church. All of my friends and most of my family were also convinced I'd be late. And because of my record, not just a bit late, like late enough to mean that the vicar might not stay to conduct the ceremony. That's late. In the run-up to the big day, some friends offered advice on how I could make sure I was ready on time. Others just took the piss and were actually taking bets on how late I was going to be. It's really supportive. So I was determined to prove them all wrong, and to help me stay on track, I booked 2 hair and makeup artists to make sure me and my 5 bridesmaids got to the church on time. On the day, 2 of my bridesmaids showed up late to my mum's house where we were getting ready.
Oh no.
Immediately putting my carefully planned schedule out of whack. So when I was offered a glass of bubbles to calm me down, I shouted at my friends, in brackets. I took it, downed it, and then got someone to grab me another one. The getting ready room was very full, with me, 5 bridesmaids, the mum of the youngest bridesmaid, my mum, my soon-to-be husband's mum, and the 2 hair and makeup artists.
Good grief.
So the steaminess of the environment started to play havoc with our hair. Curls were dropping, windows had to be opened, the youngest bridesmaid started crying, the champagne flowed, and because of all the extra phone chargers and curling tongs plugged into my mum's electrics, a fuse blew. I asked my best friend if we were still running to plan. That we were running about 15 minutes late. That's not too bad.
No, that's pretty average.
The cars had already arrived to take us to the church, and I needed to get my dress on. I panicked. I was ready, but the 2 late bridesmaids weren't. I may have shouted at them again. I got into my sweetheart neckline sleeveless dress, and then she's put in brackets, this is important, with my mum trying to make sure I didn't rip it in my hurry. I grabbed my shoes, ran to the car with my dad looking for all the world like he thought I was running away, and arrived at the church only 10 minutes late.
That's good going.
But winning in capital letters. As I stood in the lobby by the main doors into the church, I could hear the murmur of the guests die down as they realised I'd arrived. My sister was stood next to me, and as I raised my arms to give her a last-minute hug before we went in, she shrieked, "Jesus, Kate, you've not shaved your armpits!"
Oh no. Hence the dress is important. Oh my goodness.
When I realised that in my haste to get showered in the morning, I'd forgotten to shave my pits. They weren't 70s ditch the razor hairy, but enough very visible if I moved my arms forward or back. My wonderful friend and chief bridesmaid sprang into action and ran over the road to the mini supermarket, grabbed a pack of disposable razors, ran back, attempted to dry shave my arms, with me screaming, "Don't cut me!" And another bridesmaid tried to wet my armpits with a bottle of sparkling mineral water whilst not getting my dress wet. I was 17 minutes late. My brother-in-law won the bet and a bottle of whiskey.
Oh my God, that's an amazing story. Oh, I can picture it. I can picture it all.
I've just got this vision of you know when everybody goes quiet, all the guests go quiet. She's here, he's here. So everybody goes quiet. They're waiting for the doors to open and the ceremony to begin. They get the first glimpse, and all they can hear in the lobby is the bride screaming, "Don't cut me!"
Sounds like a Richard Curtis film, doesn't it?
Horrendous. I like the specifics though. It was a bottle of sparkling mineral water.
Oh dear. Oh my goodness.
Well done, Kate.
Yeah, thanks, Kate, for that. Well done for owning that. Yeah, I reckon that'll end up in someone's husband's sitcom at some point. I think that story won't.
You think? Maybe.
Yeah.
I have to be ever so careful. I have to be careful what I tell him, because the bloody notebook comes out and he starts taking. Oh, it's going to end up in a sitcom. Anyway,
It has to. It's perfect, isn't it? Really.
I love that, and I do feel like the bar is gradually being set higher and higher.
It is. Yeah, these are getting more outrageous.
They don't have to be. So I want to let you all know that they don't have to be outrageously bad. They don't have to be sort of like, and so we didn't get married, bad wedding day.
No, and you don't listen to think, oh, I had a mishap and it's not worth, contributing. Yeah, share little things that went wrong, because all of these, the wedding still went ahead and they had a fab time and they look back and laugh. So that's kind of the point of them, is that don't let these mishaps ruin your day. That they won't make your day special. really, isn't it? And that's what we're trying to do. Celebrate the imperfections of a wedding. That's the beauty of it. I think some people get caught up in everything having to be absolutely perfect, and there's no fun in that, really, is there? So.
No, and no memories to be made. I mean, those memories are, when at our wedding, our best man got so pissed that he fell into the flower arrangement and ended up with one of the flowers stuck to his cheek for the rest of the evening. Yeah, had no idea. But that was just a little thing, and I'm sure it probably happens at most people's weddings that hammered. So share. We want to hear your big day balls ups, because they make us laugh and they let everybody else know that your wedding day does not have to be perfect to be absolutely wonderful and memorable.
Absolutely, and we need a laugh in these times, don't we? Because we're dark times, but there's some light at the end of the tunnel. So that's what we're trying to provide. And it's still proposal season, so even if all the shops and everything is locked down, love is not on lockdown. That's a nice little thing to end on, isn't it, really? So absolutely. So and we'll be back in a couple of weeks. What we're chatting about in a couple of weeks, I thought, as soon as we've done proposals, maybe we do the next step and sort of where to get started and how to get started, and what do you need to do first or don't need to do first, and sort of those first steps after that wonderful proposal.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said about my proposal story, the proposal was wonderful, romantic, and it was great to say yes. And then that sort of like your head feels like it's going to explode when you suddenly realise you have absolutely no idea how you're planning. And so we'll get some people that know about timescales, and we'll chat about those next steps after the proposal.
Absolutely. Awesome. So lovely speaking to you, Heidi. Have a lovely festive period. Eat and drink as much as you can.
We plan to. Yeah, if I can remember this Christmas Day to the end, I am going to be a little bit disappointed.
Drink to obliteration. No, we don't promote that at all. Yeah. Anything that gets you by is all right with us. So until next time, thanks for chatting, Heidi, and we'll speak to you very, very soon.
Happy Christmas!
Bye.